And a good Monday morning to you out there, and we appreciate you joining us this morning. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. This is the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. We do these shows at 7:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. In the afternoon. If you ever miss these shows, you can check them out www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. They are free there. We have the heavily edited audio version as well as a video version. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for joining us this morning. Please remember that the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We're posting all of our content there as it rolls out, so we'd appreciate it if you gave us a look in those social media arenas. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. Let's get it with your traffic this morning. Tough morning. It was pretty easy getting here. We're off Hatchell Lane again in Denham Springs. But there's some heavy delays north and south of the high school in Live Oak on Highway 16. Some of that traffic is starting to filter down. Some heavy delays at Hatchell and 16 at the moment. Not Hatchell, excuse me, Lockhart and 16. Getting my names mixed up here. As well as heavy delays on 64 heading into Central. Very heavy delays, backed up quite a while actually. Surprising. Might be an accident on the interstate. Heavy delays on 190, backed up about a mile where it comes into the intersection with River Road as well as 4-H Club Road. So keep that in mind. Also very heavy delays on I-12 going westbound. It's backed up past Jubin Road, almost about halfway to Walker, as well as heavy delays at 190 and Jubin Road. Heavy delays as well. Don't ever forget the Highway 447 at Arnold Road. There's definitely some issues there. There's heavy traffic there every morning. The backup on I-12 westbound lasts until about Sherwood Forest Boulevard, maybe just about after Millerville, and there's minor delays after the 10-12 split. 75 degrees today. It's going to be a hot week. Not cooling off just yet. I know a lot of people want to say, "Oh, it's fall." Not yet. We're not quite there. High of 90 today. Probably will feel about 95, 96. Mostly cloudy. Might get some afternoon thunderstorms tomorrow. Going to get some afternoon rain on Friday and Saturday. It's looking like now. LSU's away, so that won't affect anyone, except it might affect your plans. I know a lot of people have special plans when LSU goes on the road. So that's your weather this morning. Talking about a couple of things this morning, especially two new restaurants. On Friday, we saw that a commercial sign has gone up next to Stories in Watson. And I can't imagine that Waffle House is branching out into anything but Waffle House. So the commercial sign said, this is a commercial site being developed by Waffle House, Inc. So Waffle House is coming to the Watson area. Still waiting for the parish government does not work on Friday, so we're still waiting for them to get back to me with permitting details so we can see what kind of size and development they're going to do there. So that we saw that on Friday. Also, we got a little update about what's going on in Denham Springs. Things are moving along in and around the Bass Pro area. There's a new Italian restaurant coming in there in what was a field in between Hooters and the Cerritos development. It's called Boca del Forno. It's moving along. Not entirely sure when it will open, but Unos Dos Tacos on Rushing Road, what used to be a Subway, is moving along very well. Mr. Tommy Stojak, who also has Sombreros and Walker, his original timeline was sometime in October, and it's looking like he's going to make it. Things are coming together on the inside. They'll be doing some landscaping here pretty soon. So please keep an eye on that. We're wrapping up the weekend here. Just a quick parish council wrap up. A lot happened that night, so we're just gonna hit the highlights here really quick because I know people get tired of hearing me talk about it. First and foremost, Mr. Mack from District 9, Councilman Shane Mack from District 9, tried to put two renewals up for discussion that would be put on the spring ballot as rededicated funds. What that really comes down to is that Mr. Mack was after 3 mills of the 10 mill property tax that funds the libraries to go after parish-wide drainage that would be focused intently on, at the beginning, a parish-wide drainage master plan from which they could start picking highest return on investment projects and investing into that. Max said that he believed the library is overfunded, and that as the parish continues to grow, because property taxes are growing, they also learned that night that it was the current taxable value of property in Livingston Parish is $571 million. It has grown, it grew quite a bit over the year over year, roughly $50 million. And so, excuse me, and so his suggestion was, I mean, even if we do that, by the time it comes up for renewal, they'll be back on the same revenue stream. A lot of people from the library there on Thursday night to fight it, but it never came up for discussion. Tracy Girlinghouse moved that they strike those items from the agenda, or Jeff Ard, excuse me. It was seconded by Tracy Girlinghouse, but they couldn't do it that way since Mr. Mack had already read them. It's all about parliamentary procedure. So they instead backed up, and Mr. Ard voted to rescind those items, seconded by Tracy Girlinghouse, and then immediately the question was called, which means calling for the vote by Mr. Frog Talbert, and the issue disappeared, at least for now. That might not be the only time that he fights for it. The commercial permitting process and putting together consequences for anybody who falsely acquires any kind of permit, actually, is still being delayed. It's still being discussed by Parish President Leighton Ricks. The proponent, or the proposer, that would be Mr. Maurice Scooter Keene, had sent it to Parish President Leighton Ricks' office after Ricks had requested it, because he wanted to add some language. So we will see what kind of language he adds and what comes out of that. Ward 2 Water District was expanded. That vote passed unanimously. What is up for discussion is how many board seats will end up for that entity. Right now it's 5 board seats after the expansion, since it touches the municipality, expecting an expansion to 7. Not entirely sure yet. Still looking up that state law that John Wascom had cited during the meeting. There was a bit of a back and forth between him and Mr. Talbert because of according to Talbert, if state law existed that said if you touch certain municipalities, you have to have a certain amount of board members, then why did the parish have to pass something as well? We'll see what happens as that goes forward. That's going to take some time to happen, because it has to be proposed legislatively at the state level to get boards expanded. So we will see what happens, excuse me, with that one as it moves forward into the next meeting, because it's not going to go away. The other interesting thing is the parish council had an update about the I-12 barrier wall. Nothing really to report on that one. They did it in executive session. They all ran off into the back room, had a conversation with Mr. Palmentier, who is the head lawyer for the suit, and then came back, and life went on. So not entirely sure what that update was just yet, but we will find that out just as soon as we possibly can. The news has sent an email to Mr. Palmentier to say, hey, what kind of update did you give them? What can you tell us? So once we find out, we will let you know. At any rate, that was a lot of what was going on with the parish council. There was an interesting discussion about servitudes and sewer, and Mr. Bubba Harris, of course, was not happy about the way it was going down with the sewer, but that was all worked out and passed for a new development on Forest Alat. Talked to some engineers who were working on that project that said that developer was already working with DOTD, so there shouldn't be any rights-of-way issue once Forest Alat work begins in the spring. To let some of you know real quick before I jump into the next item, we discussed Dunn Road work, Buddy Ellis work, Forest Alat work. We found out those all aren't going to happen at the same time, probably a good thing. What is going to happen first is Buddy Ellis is going to get widened. Buddy Ellis is probably going to begin first. That project was let in July. The bid was won by Barrier Construction, and they've been working on utility relocation, which is a lot of the big deal going on here, because those roads are being widened. So they're being widened, they're having culverts added and covered. They're having catch basins added for drainage. Then the roads are being overlaid and striped. That's going to take time. Now, that Buddy Ellis is going to start sometime in the coming weeks. Utility relocation for Dunn Road has not begun at all, and there is a lot to do there. So those of you who might watch this show and live off Dunn Road, you are going to have to wait some time. Not entirely sure. It's going to take a couple of months. If Buddy Ellis is any indication, it takes anywhere from 60 to 90 days to do all of this utility relocation. So please be patient. We are sorry. Someone was telling me at the parish council meeting on Thursday that the story about those 3 roads was a little confusing. So that's the timeline, is that Buddy Ellis will begin sometime in the next 2 weeks in terms of the actual construction and overlay and adding drainage. Dunn Road will be another 60 to 90 days. Maybe it could be longer. It just depends on how long it takes them to relocate those utilities. Forest Delat will be in the spring as soon as they're done with Buddy Ellis, because there will be bridge closures on both roads, so they didn't want to do them at the same time, which makes sense. So that's the parish council wrap up from last week. Talking about a vehicle fire on I-12 westbound on Friday, shut a lot of things down. It was a tough travel on Friday afternoon. It put a lot of traffic in places where it wasn't normally supposed to be or isn't normally there. But thankfully, some people survived, some people did not. We're still trying to get the final details on that. We will let you know the names of those involved as soon as possible. Football wrap up from Friday. Live Oak took down Woodlawn at home. Walker was unable to keep up with Destrehan, who had Alabama committed running back. Denham's last gasp effort against Ponchatoula did not come up the way they wanted it to. Albany, after a high-flying week 1, fell to St. Michael at Olympia Stadium, and Springfield beat Cohen. Don't forget that we have a new football show that we will be doing on Wednesdays, probably releasing that information on Thursday. We do it after we meet with these coaches and do their interviews. We could not find a time to get even all the 5A coaches, much less all 5 coaches from the parish together at the same time. So we decided to go through our interview processes with them and then sit down with William and Rob and kind of interview them and talk about what's going on in football that week. So please be on the lookout for that on Thursday. We would appreciate it. Mr. Tyler O'Donohue, who was a graduate of Denham Springs High School, plays football for Northwestern. He was here in town on Saturday to play a little football game. You can read about that as well as those results of those football games at www.livingstonparishnews.com/sports. The Live Oak High School recognized their school resource officer during week 1 of football. His name's Chad Dupuy. He served in the military for 6 years. He has been the school resource officer for Live Oak since 2018, since the beginning of the 2018 school year. He received a football that was signed by Coach Beard, as well as the captains of the team. You can read all about what he's been doing at Live Oak High School and how he's had an effect on these kids' lives at www.livingstonparishnews.com/living. One more time with your traffic. Let's get it on the back end here. Delays on I-12 westbound have extended farther past Juban and have gotten almost all the way to Sherwood. Heavy delays on 64, especially on Greenville Springs once you make it into Central, heading southbound. Heavy delays at Rushing Road, or 4-H Club Road, River Road, and 190. Heavy delays at Juban Road and 190. And minor delays after the 10-12 split. Don't forget, it's not fall yet. 75 degrees outside right now. 90 degrees is your high. Low of 73. Getting some rain Wednesday and possibly Friday, as well as expected heavy rains on Saturday. Once again, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. If you joined us live today, we appreciate that. If you listen to us after the fact, appreciate that as well. We put these shows on www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast if you ever need to come back and catch up with them. Or if you missed one in the morning and want to listen to it later, always recommend that as well. The news is on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Appreciate you following us and liking us and sharing us there. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. That's $5 a month. We are in print on Thursdays, and it's delivered on Saturdays. We call it the Sunday edition. Again, appreciate you joining us today. It is Monday. We hope you get a great start to the week. And Drew will be in the booth this afternoon at 4:30 as Mr. David Gray is on vacation. So hope you have a great day. Hope it's a good start to a good week. Thanks for joining us.